Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Sagittaire, and I'll be breaking down today's market price action and most importantly, talking about our upcoming 24 hours. Let's get into it. As always, we'll be taking a look at broader market analysis, take a look at what the currency basket is telling us, and then we'll take a look at some positive steps ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So jumping into the market analysis, let's just jump right into the headlines of the numbers. Well, you can see that today we're seeing that continuation of that recovery in the markets after that big sell-off. So we went from a big risk-off environment yesterday to now being a bit of a risk-on environment and just recovering some of the grounds that we lost in that massive sell-off. So that's one thing that we have in the broader markets. Now, taking a look at currency markets, we still have this tariff threat that's still looming. We're still expecting tariffs to go, in fact, February 1st for Canada and Mexico. And, this is where some of the currencies are just not really moving much. It's just staying in that range because there's a lot of jitters in the markets. What's going to happen? And that's where we are just not really finding a whole lot of direction, but we'll take a look at the charts. Now, let's just take a look at the numbers here today. As you can see that it was a pretty mixed picture. The dollar continues to be that volatile currency. We're seeing a lot of back and forth in the dollar, and that's again due to this tariff threat. Now, we take a look at other currencies. Well, CAD did well today, but again, CAD is another currency that's going a lot of back and forth. Now, Australian dollar is the one that actually did the worst today, but then you can take a look at Kiwi was flat. So really a mixed bag here. We have Swiss franc sort of rising a little bit. The yen, not surprised that yen did pull back because again, yen rallied yesterday off that risk-off environment. So, and every time we see that rally, the market sort of worries sort of will go away, we start to see the yen sort of pull back. So that's exactly what the trade we had in the last 24 hours is that we got that big move, risk-off move, and we got a big recovery move. Now, taking a look at the broader markets, you can see S&P up 1%, world stock index up, crypto is down, but then we have gold being up and oil being up. So you can see that broader markets overall sort of in a better situation, better mood here. Now, looking at the cryptocurrencies, you can see that Bitcoin slightly lower. Outside of that, that's where we see a bigger pullback. But again, something that we already know, that the Bitcoin is the one that's an outperformer. And outside of that is a bit of a slippery slope. So just keep that in mind as you're trading those cryptocurrencies here. We still haven't really broken that resistance on the Bitcoin here. So maybe we're just getting this range of price action here for the short term. Now, as far as the outlook goes, where do we stand? You can see that we went from a bigger roller coaster here. You can see that this is the price action that we have seen in the last few weeks. And you can see that we had a massive rally here, broke out of that resistance, and then had a massive gap lower, and then we just getting a rally here. So you can see that volatility is really the name of the game here. That's what we started the year off with, and we just expect more of that volatility to continue. So where do we go from here? Well, I think once we fill that gap, we are back at the resistance, so something to watch out if market's going to break out. So you can see that we had a nice breakout here, but we just fell right through. And then we got this big gap over the weekend. So we are in that little rally mode here, so bit of a risk-on environment for the short term. But remember, as we go into the next 24 hours, we still have a lot of data to go through. We haven't really had much of the data, but starting tonight, we have the Aussie CPI. I'll be watching this number, especially as it's really going to drive the expectation higher or lower for the RBA for their further rate, for the rate cut, or are they going to hold the rates? I think that's really the big question here. As you can see that this number, they're looking for a slight higher expectation, but remember, it's the number is the one thing, but then the movement, the price movement is the one thing. So we are seeing Aussie being in that continued selling pressure, even though the market rallied today. The Aussie did not. So that's a bit of a negative sign here. We'll see what happens with the CPI numbers. And the most importantly, next 24 hours, we have the Bank of Canada rate statement, and then we have the FOMC rate statement. So these are the two big ones. Here we are, Bank of Canada expected to cut rates, and here we are, US expected to hold rates. So you can see that there's a bit of a disparity here between the rate expectation, but we'll take a look at where the dollar CAD is. But outside of that, you can see there's still a lot to go through on Friday and a Thursday and a Friday. So this is, again, we still have a lot to go through. I think we just got boggled down by volatility yesterday, but just keep in mind we still have a lot to go through. Now, let's just do our currency analysis, and let's just start with our velocity score first, and we'll jump into the possible trades. You can see that it's quite a mixed picture here in the middle. One thing to kind of look for, again, dollar, it's strong today as far as velocity goes, and so is the Swiss franc. Now, on the weaker side, we have the Aussie and the Euro. But remember, that's just the volatility score for today. But then how does this line up with the trend score? You can see that. And that's where we are going to spend a little bit more time. You see where the trends are. And then again, that's based on those trends, we can expect a strategy that would work the best. So let's just jump into possible trades ahead.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
So as we talk about the trend, let's just start with the dollar here, because I want to highlight where we are. We are in this consolidation phase. And what we are seeing in this consolidation phase, and I have said that before, it's not a great buy and it's not a great sell. And even though on this daily chart, we are getting below this little exponential moving average, but at the same time, it's a lot of back and forth, meaning that, one day it's going down, one other day it's going up. So it's more like a consolidation to me here. This is a 4-hour chart, and you can see that 4-hour chart. We briefly broke that support here, and now we are back above it. So perhaps we can take a look at this level of support and see where is it going to go from here. But remember, the FOMC tomorrow is going to shed some more light on where the FOMC is going to be. Again, we already know that there will be not raising rates, cutting rates. But then again, going into the next month, what is the expectation? Again, that's the statement that we're looking for. You can see that outside of that, there's a lot of things that are kind of in their range. I mean, here we are with the Japanese yen. You can see a clear range here. You can see the Swiss franc, which just got a bit of a bounce here. But overall, you can see, even though we see a velocity today, we get excited. But then again, this is just a sideways price action. Here we are with the euro, which has been doing well. But guess what? Today, it did pull back. So, we got the resistance right here. Got a support right here. Maybe there's just due for a little pullback here. Then the British pound is the one that's kind of holding in here. So if you are looking for some good looking setup here, this is more like a high base pattern here. Now let's go into the CAD. Well, CAD is the one. You can see that this thing is sort of weakening on the basket. And again, overall, this is a wide range that you're dealing with. And again, with this trade war that we have to really figure out where this is going to go. I know we have the Bank of Canada tomorrow. We already know they're going to cut rates. The big question is, what's the further outlook? And even though that the outlook is less dovish, I think we still have this tariff that's going to be overhanging it. But remember, once that's out of the way, once we have some clarity, we're going to have a lot bigger move in CAD. Now, Aussie, as you can see that this thing is also, it looked like it wanted to go higher. It's pulling back. So where do I think it's going to go from here? This is sideways. We got a resistance. We got a support. That's what we're dealing with here. Now here, the last one, which is the Kiwi, kind of doing the same thing. So as you can see that things are not really a great buy or a great sell, and there's things that are consolidating. And again, we're looking at it on a daily chart. Now, if I go on a 4-hour chart, what we are getting is, a lot of back and forth. And this is, again, one of those environments where when things are range bound, the breakout strategy is not always the best. When you think it's breaking out, it reverses. When you think it's breaking lower, it just goes higher. That's just the way the sideways price action works. So I think that's what we are in. We are in this sideways price action, and then eventually we'll find out which way we're gonna break out. But again, I just wanted to highlight that that's the market condition you're dealing with. Let's take a look at another pair, dollar CAD, because that's the one that I've talked about with a lot of traders. As you can see that, look at the sideways. This thing is stuck between 143 to 144.50. So that's a 150 pip range. As you can see that this is where there's that like back and forth, and until those trade spats are resolved or there's a progress made, I think this is going to continue in this little sideways price action. As you can see that, some of the Aussie, let's just take a look at how Aussie USD is doing. I know we have a CPI tonight. You can see that the Aussie USD, again, it's not making a lower low. This is, kind of gone into that sideways price action here. So not giving us a great setup to either go long or to go short. Dollar yen is the one that I was watching and played yesterday. As you can see that was, again, mostly based on the rally or the rally in the equity market. So we expect the yen to sort of pull back. And you can see that this thing had a nice little rally overnight, kind of going sideways here a little bit. Where do I think it's going to go from tomorrow? Again, it's going to be expecting on what the news play is going to be. It's all going to be about the FOMC. So I don't expect to be active overnight. I think I'll be more expected to be active tomorrow when we see a bit more on the news front. So that's where we are. So if you want to play something tonight, I think what you're going to look for, Aussie CPI is what's due tonight. Well, what can I pair with? Well, how's pound Aussie doing? You can see that pound is holding steady. And again, I don't want to get into what my opinion is. I'm going with what I see in the price action. You can see that this thing is rallying higher. This is a 4-hour chart making a little base here. So perhaps we'll take a look at some more sideways price action and look for a break above that resistance. Again, that setup, it continues to form over here. Here's the hourly chart. You can see that this is going sideways, making a base here. So perhaps look for a breakout off the news again if that CPI is below expectation. Now, if the CPI is above expectation, I think then we just do the opposite. Look for the stronger, and then pair that against a weaker. Let's see what the Aussie yen is doing. Again, that's not a great looking setup here. But again, you got the point. Take a look at what's performing well, what's not performing well, and then pair this accordingly. But again, I think this is a great time to sort of be on the sidelines, especially with this consolidation. And it's a tighter consolidation. When you see a big consolidation, there's an opportunity to be had on both the upper side and the downside. But now we are getting this smaller consolidation, which means that, you don't want to be in it as it just doesn't really go anywhere. But eventually, whichever way it breaks, that's where you want to get in. That's where you're going to see that move. So patience is virtue here. And as we transition into, after the February 1st, I hope we get that bit of a clarity. And then I think that will bring more opportunities here. But outside of that, I think watch out the dollar. I think that's the currency that's everyone is kind of paying attention to. That's the one that is going sideways. And remember, we were in a huge uptrend. Now we're going sideways. So we'll see which way it really breaks. But I think once we get that break, that's where we're going to be the big opportunity. So in conclusion, again, looking beyond the sidelines, but we got the FOMC and the Bank of Canada races tomorrow, Aussie CPI tonight. So looking to be around those news events. Outside of that, just be on the sideline and look for some key levels that it breaks out before we jump in. If things are consolidating and you have a trending strategy, it's best just be on the sideline. If you're looking to play that consolidation phase, that's fine. But again, that's a strategy that you're dealing with where you want to be, a buyer towards the support and the seller against a resistance, and that's the right play with these current market conditions. Thanks everyone for joining. Happy trading. See you the next one.